To enable my research, I created 4 different genre mood boards, and they are displayed on my blogspot. The first genre I looked into was rock. For the rock genre, I found that all the photos that were used were very bold, quite different with the styles that they were wearing and the attitude on their faces. A lot of the photos used on the covers and in the contents pages all seemed quite moody, and I didn't really find this as much in the other genres. They're also, mainly all of them are looking directly into the camera, with a sort of moody look on their face. I found this could have been to do with directing their look to the audience, to try and get people to buy the magazine. And I also found with rock magazines, there's quite a lot of things going on in each cover. For example, the only cover that hasn't got that much going on would be the NME cover with Florence and the Machine on the front, which is about halfway up the bottom right-hand corner. I think that's only because it's actually a special edition of NME, whereas the others are just normal copies. And yeah, they all seem to have quite a lot going on. When I say they've got a lot going on, I mean there's loads of different articles that they're pulling out and focusing on. Also, the backgrounds can be different colours. I know there's one issue of NME with a blue background. There's another of Kerrang with a kind of grey background. And NME particularly seem to use different colours for different issues. They've got a pink one for The Clash. I think their normal colour is red, but they obviously, if the style was a bit different, they seem to be happy to change the colours. Also with Q seems to be very similar in each issue. They've always got the Q logo in the top left-hand corner, and the photo of the artist is always in front or behind the logo, so the logo is always in the same place, which can be very like an icon to represent that magazine, so it's easier for the audience to identify with it. For Kerrang, their look seems to be a bit different to NME and Q. Their look seems to be a bit more kind of, I would say shaggy, because there's different fonts used. It's all very bold, but kind of messy at the same time. I think they would appeal to an audience of that kind of are represented. I mean, the Kerrang header is actually looks like it's been smashed, so you do really associate that with maybe a guitar when artists on stage and then smashing the guitar afterwards. You can also see that how the magazines support different people. Like, for example, Classic Rock in the top left-hand corner seems to do the old style sort of classics as their feature as Guns N' Roses. And then Q in the top left-hand corner has Oasis on it. And they've also got Coldplay underneath that, so they're kind of keeping up with the times, I'd say. In the bottom left-hand corner, they've also got Cheryl Cole, Rocks. So they do kind of incorporate a mixture of genres within the rock magazine, which is a very interesting point. So they've got a wider audience, I would say, than Kerrang, which kind of looks at all the bands that you would associate with rock. Okay, so the next genre I looked at was dance. With dance, I found that there's different things going on. It's quite colourful. Also, the styles they're wearing also seem to be different to the other genres. They're a bit more out there and kind of sci-fi looking, as opposed to the rock magazine, which I just looked at, which was a bit shabby, kind of messy hair. So there's that difference. I think there's the DJ magazine with Lady Sovereign on the cover, and she's wearing kind of pink glasses. That's another way it just kind of represents dance magazines to be a bit different, kind of just differentiate themselves from other magazines. Also, as I said before, with the colours, it seems to be in each different cover, there's a different colour theme going on. For example, Mix Mag in the top right hand corner, the theme is kind of blue and yellow, whereas there's another Mix Mag at the bottom in the middle with LaRue, and that's kind of orangey, goldy yellows. So you can see there that Mix Mag does actually change its style in each episode, depending on the artist on the front and probably what they're going to put inside. Also, with the dance magazines, there's a kind of theme going on with the different countries. Ibiza is mentioned in a few, also Miami. So it's obviously talking about events where you should possibly go for the dance music, and where the dance music is at its heart. I also found in the double page spread of the magazine, there's one that says lemon scent. The title font seems to be quite futuristic looking, and I think with all the fonts, with most of the fonts on the front covers of the magazines, is quite a futuristic look about it. The one with Afrojack, how the font of Afrojack is a bit different to what the normal kind of, the rock music and the other genres that I've had looked at. There's also a lot of talk about festivals, the way that people are represented on the front covers is all different. You've got Swedish House Mafia in the top left-hand corner all wearing suits, and if you go 2 magazines along DJ, there's some girls in bikinis, and then you go right to the end and there's a man jumping in the air with a smiley face t-shirt on. It's all kind of very individual, and it seems each artist has their own specific look about them. I thought the hip hop and rap section seemed to be quite different to the other genres of music. The first thing I think it's quite immediate to notice is the ethnicity of the people on the covers. I think there is 2 white ethnicities on the front covers, whereas the rest seem to have the black ethnicities. The first thing I found with the R&B rap genre was the ethnicities of the people on the cover. A lot of the stars that I've seen are black. I think there's about 3 other ethnicities on the covers, so that's quite an interesting point. And another point is they're almost all males. I think there's 3 females on the cover of this genre of magazine. I'm not sure whether this is because they target mainly males or or black people, but this is represented a lot in the cover of the magazine, and probably in the style of music. And what I do notice is all the males on the covers seem to look quite confident, possibly intimidating if you think of them that way. There's a few issues with Lil Wayne on the front, and the facial expressions he pulls could be seen as quite intimidating, but I think they all do have that confidence about them, which can be taken in different ways. Also, I noticed the colours. The colours seem to be a lot of red. We've got hip hop red, black, and white seem to be the main colours. There's Hip Hop magazine, which has the red header. Wonderland, which seems to be black and white. There's one copy of XXL with 50 Cent on the front, and that's got a blue background, but all the colours seem to be kind of red as the main colour that stands out, and then white and black and grey. There is a couple of issues which feature yellow as well, which when you look at them compared to the copies of XXL or Respect or Source, it does actually seem to stand out a bit more. And I don't know if that's just because it's subverting the normal conventions or if it just stands out against the red. Another thing which is quite different for a magazine to have is the artists are wearing sunglasses in some photos. There's one copy of XXL with Diddy on the front, and he's wearing sunglasses and looking into the camera. Normally, I think eyes shouldn't be covered in front covers for magazines because they can't seem as if they're looking into the audience's eye to grab their attention. This also happens in Source and The Voice in a cover, in a spread of the magazine. I think it's a bit more acceptable in spreads, but obviously the magazines must be confident in themselves for the artist to wear sunglasses because it may not stand out against the others. The final magazine genre I looked into was R&B. This is the genre I think I will be doing for my actual magazine. The reason I like this genre is for a few reasons. Firstly, the black and white kind of element to them. On a lot of the covers, such as Vibe, Trace, and Floss, the backgrounds are all white, and they have the artist on the front looking into the camera. I think this has a very sophisticated look to it, and it makes them stand out, I think. Also with, there's a Vibe issue in the top left corner with Kanye West in it. His clothes, the one below it with T.I., the clothes he's wearing, it all seems very sophisticated and kind of slick. I think I really like this style because it kind of stands out and gives a really classy look about it, opposed to the cluttered look of the rock magazines. That was another thing that I do like about it, was kind of the simplisticness to it. It's not too full of different stories that they're putting in the magazine. There are some there, but it's just not as cluttered as I found with magazines such as Kerrang or Q. Trace, the one with Khalees on the front of it. Her makeup and how she stands out. She's got the beaded neck collar on, the very extremely long eyelashes, and of course probably the most recognisable part to the way she's presented is her white upper half of her head. So from the bottom of her eyes to her hair is all white. I think this is a very stylish kind of way to present yourself, and it's very different, kind of subverts the conventions that you might find in R&B magazine, as a lot of the other women look quite street smart and edgy, but I think she really pushes the boundaries. This is a very interesting point to me. I would be interested to do something similar for my magazine. Also for the Vibe magazine, I really like the contents page. I think the way that it's presented and laid out looks very smart, and it's not too cluttered. Again, it's got the main photo as the main point of the contents page, and then what's actually included in the magazine in stylish kind of letters beside it. Also, the way contents is written looks very kind of edgy and but simplistic at the same time. It's just different to writing contents as one word, and I like how they can change the colour as well. For example, in the bottom left corner, the V is kind of outlined in the background, whereas in the middle at the top, with the red background, it's like a darkened red behind it. I think this is very classy, and I really do like how it just works. I really think that this genre interests me most because of the simplisticness to the cover, which makes it look more valuable. And I think that's why I've actually chosen this genre to do.